Hey everybody, welcome to Song Tripping. I'm Jim. Time for another random records video. This is a new playlist I started where I just go into Discogs where all my records and CDs are cataloged, and I just pull up 5 random titles, find them on the shelves, and talk about them. Just quick takes on these. Kind of first thought, best thought mode. And what I've done to save time is I've already run the random iterations, and I've found all the records and CDs to show you. So we're just going to start and jump in. 5 random albums from my collection, just for fun. Let's start with this one, and that's the Paul McCartney solo album. It's just called McCartney. This was my wife's copy, for sure, a vintage copy. Looks like we bought this actually based on the price sticker. Maybe we bought this together because this was purchased at, I don't know if you can see that, Euclid Records in St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, we used to live in the Central West End, so this is a bit more of nostalgia here. I thought this went back a little bit further, but we would have gotten this in the 1990s, used, obviously. And Paul's like sort of pure solo work doesn't interest me as much as his solo albums where he's accompanied by other musicians, but this was just him. He's playing all the instruments, doing all the vocals, and some harmonies by Linda McCartney too. But it features the lovely Linda, That Would Be Something, Valentine's Day, Every Night, Hot as Sunglasses, Junk, Man He Was Lonely, Ooh You, Mama Miss America, Teddy Boy, Sing Along Junk, Maybe I'm Amazed, Crean dash Acrore, an Apple Records label. And yeah, so obviously the highlight here is Maybe I'm Amazed. That's a terrific song. The other ones are just kind of like little ditties. I mean, junk might be a good term for a lot of the songs on this album. Like, they just kind of like stray things. Some of this stuff goes back to the Beatles. Like I know he was auditioning songs like Teddy Boy and Junk with the band, but they didn't really get officially released till this came out. And when did McCartney come out? Was it 1970? I want to say 1970. But anyway, nice gatefold. And glad to have it, but it's not an album I really play a lot. Let's switch to CDs. This one came up in the random play, and it's 1958, the Rock and Roll Era digital remaster. This is Time Life series, a Warner Special Products product. And these I was collecting for a while, and I, in particular, look for the ones that are mastered by a guy, I think his name is Dennis Drake. Correct me if I remember that wrong. This one, I don't think it's a Dennis Drake mastering job, but generally speaking, these Time Life compilations sound really good. And I don't remember if this one sounds as good as the others, but it's got a great set of songs. You've got, Chuck Berry, Eddie Cochran, Conway Twitty, Little Richard, Huey Piano Smith and the Clowns, Little Anthony and the Imperials, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Silhouettes, Bobby Darin, the Champs, the Chantels, Chuck Berry again, the Crickets, the Elegants, the Monotones, Duane Eddy, Jody Reynolds, the Coasters, Bobby Day, Big Bopper, Bobby Friedman, and Jimmy Clapton. And that's a nice set of songs. Compilations I have a soft spot for. And when you don't collect 45s, compilations are the way to go. And yeah, a lot of good stuff on here for sure. So if you're in the mood for some late 50s rock and roll, this is a good compilation. Generally speaking, I like the Time Life series, and they usually are widely available on the used market, and not for that much money. The last I checked. Let's go with another CD. This was a recent used pickup I got from a used bookshop. Kronos Quartet performs Philip Glass. So it's all Philip Glass music. And String Quartet number 5, String Quartet number 4, String Quartet number 2, and String Quartet number 3. I listened to this once, and it's very mesmerizing, as Philip Glass can be. And sort of a minimalist style, but like lots of intricate parts within that minimalism. And generally speaking, Kronos Quartet produces really good albums. I can't think of a bad album they've made that I've heard. Some I like better than others. This one is just not, like usually they do various artists or composers. This one is purely Philip Glass. So if you're in the mood for Philip Glass, this was a nice one. Came out in 1995. All right, that's 3 records already. Let's go with this old chestnut. How about Dark Side of the Moon? This came up on the random. This is, I have 2 copies of Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl. This one that got pulled is basically like an OG version. I'm not exactly sure, but this goes back to the 70s or maybe it's an 80s reprint. But I'm suspecting it was a 70s version of Dark Side. This album needs no introduction or endorsement from me. You all know Pink Floyd, I'm sure. Arguably their greatest album, their big breakthrough. It doesn't get more classic rock than this. Art rock, prog rock, whatever you want to call it. It's a classic, stone cold classic. This is a good sounding vinyl copy. And I remember getting this. Again, memory is porous, but my memory is I got this at Plaza Fantastic back in the day, probably right around 1980, like late 70s, early 80s. I got it at Plaza Fantastic, which was a used record store. Originally, it was in Bryn Mawr, then they moved to Ardmore. I'm certain I got this at the Bryn Mawr store. I was just getting into Pink Floyd. This was probably the first Pink Floyd album I bought. And yeah, I've never looked back from there. And it's one of the more immersive listening experiences that you can have. And I'm happy to have that record. Also, I see there's something stuck in. Sometimes I would burn CDs and then I'll stick them into the sleeve. So what is this? Dark Side of the Moon, the SACD version. Now, I don't think I actually burned this as an SACD. I'm sure this is a CD only, but it must be the mix that was used on the SACD. I have no memory of making this disc, but that is my handwriting, and I obviously burned this disc. And I don't know where I got this version. I downloaded it from somewhere. It must have been from, I don't remember. I was not a Napster guy, but I was for a while. I hope this doesn't get me in trouble with the law. But for a while, I was finding stuff on a site. It was called Oink. I forget the URL, but Oink was in the name. OINK, like what the Sound Pigs make. Maybe I got that Dark Side of the Moon SACD mix from there. I just don't remember. And that tells you like how long it's been since I listened to that CD. But now that I've found this in Dark Side of the Moon, maybe I'll give it a listen and see. I have several versions of Dark Side of the Moon on CD and vinyl. 2 versions on vinyl and then 2 or 3 on CD, I think. Anyway, this is what came up in the random choice. And then our number 5 random pick is a CD by Fleetwood Mac called The Dance. You remember when this came out? This was it late 90s or early 2000s? 1997 on Reprise Records. This album really kind of got me back into Fleetwood Mac after being away from Fleetwood Mac for a while. By the mid 80s, my attention towards Fleetwood Mac was starting to drift. I remember some of their videos on MTV and whatnot, but I kind of, after the Tusk album, I sort of stopped paying a lot of attention to their album releases. I can't even tell you what they released after that. I know Tango in the Night was in there. And then maybe a couple others. Anyway, this felt like a little bit of a comeback, and is it, if I'm not mistaken, this was a live album, right? And what I most remember was the video for this. I think it was probably on VH1 or MTV, probably VH1. Does VH1 even exist anymore? Haven't heard about VH1 in like 25 years. But anyway, it was a really good live set. And for me, one of the big highlights of this was Big Love. Lindsey Buckingham, I think he performs it completely solo on acoustic guitar, and it's like a really incredible performance. So I think we bought this CD to memorialize like the video that we had watched. Like we just wanted to be able to listen to the music and not have to watch it in reruns. But yeah, this has so many other hits on here. The Chain is really good. Rhiannon, Landslide, Say You Love Me, Don't Stop. Like the Rumors era, a little before, a little after, is basically what they're focusing on here. Yeah, have I listened to this lately? No, it's probably been like 30 years since I listened to this CD. Is it an album I will keep on the shelves? Probably will for the time being, because I associate it with a positive memory. Like I said, this got me back into Fleetwood Mac, paying attention to them again. And I have good memories of watching that video. It was, just happy memories. That's what we associate with our records, isn't it? But I wouldn't rule out unhauling this at some point, but I would definitely give it a listen one more time for old time's sake. But yeah, that is our 5 random albums. Fleetwood Mac the Dance, Kronos Quartet doing Philip Glass, a 1958 rock and roll compilation on the Time Life series, an original Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, and a used copy of McCartney's first solo album. That is it for now. Thanks for walking down the random road with me. Hope to do another one of these again soon. Bye-bye.